Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
So we're going to give this a little bit of an intro shot. Like she said, we'll give you a better one once we get going. This is just a way to kind of break the ice.
Sure.
What if we just went to sleep?
Hey, it's not been that long ago I had little kids. I get it.
Yeah,
you got a little one.
He hasn't quite gotten to 2 yet, but I think we're getting a little taste of what the terrible twos, as they say, feels like. He hasn't really started talking too much. He just kind of just like indicates more than anything else. So once he can actually start barking commands, then I think we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
oh yeah, sure. Yeah. They never stop after that.
I know. So I hear. I'm worried about that one.
All right. You may know him from social media and various Christmas message boards. Our guest today is Art, the host of the overnight sensation that is a Cozy Christmas podcast. Hi, Art.
Hi, Art.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Great.
It's going very well. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. I feel like the country cousin coming to the big city here. So
I love it.
Like you're like Fievel or something.
That's right. Yeah. Well, there's about 700 people in our town, so it's a small town.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I would say there's probably about 700 people on our block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least, which doesn't always come out to be a good thing.
I got a sponsored ad or something on Facebook for sidewalk salt, and just as a goof, because I don't really whatever, I commented on the ad, and I was like, can you please forward this to all of my neighbors? and someone from somewhere in the commented back like, why don't you do that? And I was like, well, there's like 700 of them. I live in New York City. I don't know any of my neighbors. And he said, oh, gotcha. And that was it.
Yeah. Enough said.
Yeah, you put yourself through all that, so now you don't get to know your neighbors, and you get to slip on the ice when you walk outside or walk the dog.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first part of the podcast, we just want to get to know our guest, and that's Art. So I like to talk about it in the podcast. There's something called the New York City connection, and we hear about it all the time, whether it's not as people listening to the podcast or people in our personal lives are always talking to us about, oh, I've always wanted to go to New York, or I have a relative who lives in New York, or in some cases it's my great grandparents immigrated to New York. And so it's always fun things where people are kind of drawn towards New York. And even if you've never been here before, even if it's just like a thing where you like night court or something, there's a thing about New York that people kind of like relate to. So I was wondering, Art, is there anything that kind of draws you or connects you to New York?
That's a good question. I think if I were to ever visit New York, I would want it to be at Christmas time, just because of the there's the traditions of the city, the way you see them in movies, and it's all decorated. It looks beautiful. And I've seen a little bit of your videos, your live videos of the city, and it just looks like a lot of fun. That being said, I'm not a real fan of big cities like that. So I would definitely need a tour guide or something to keep me safe as we travel the city. But I don't. To me, I guess my perspective of New York City, I've like I said, never been there. It's like this magical place that Christmas happens all the time. So that would be fun for me. I think I'd like to see it during Christmas time, but yeah, I enjoy maybe a slower paced cities myself.
Yeah, as we've lived here for better part of 10 years at this point now, we're sort of thinking about the idea of like living in a slower paced place. We still want to be really close to the city because there's so much cool stuff as far as like museums and culture and stuff that we don't want to give it away right away. So now that's what we're talking about now is like, well, is it worth it to like move like an hour away just so we're kind of still close? But yeah, like it's not for everyone for sure.
Yeah, my mom definitely feels that same way.
Yeah,
she loves coming down. Well, most of my family, they love coming here Christmas time. but it's always I would never want to live here. I'm like, I'm good with where I am. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's definitely a totally different lifestyle and different type of environment to be in, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get, you mentioned museums and things. I love history, so that would be another thing. And I think there's actually a statue or something of a family member of mine, the poet Joyce Kilmer. I think he had some kind of New York connection, so maybe there's a park there or something that has his name or has a
Oh.
statue of him in the park somewhere. My sister knows more about it. She's
That's
been there.
awesome.
Yeah. So he was a poet around World War I and served in World War I and then was killed in action. And so then his mother published all of his poetry and things. So people from that generation would know one of his poems. It's a little poem called "The Trees," and I can't remember how it goes now. But if you hear it, you might like, oh, I maybe recognize that poem. But I don't know what he has to do with New York City, but there's a little statue of him somewhere tucked away.
If there's a statue, I promise you we'll find it.
Well, I just
Oh,
found
okay.
it. It's called, there's a park. It's Joyce Kilmer Park. It's over by Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
is it?
okay.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
you're right next to the Yankee Stadium. So you've got some great history
pretty
here.
cool.
Oh,
That's awesome. Well, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
yeah. I just remember that. I was like, oh yeah, I've got.
Yeah,
There's
there's
a
a whole
statue.
statue.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not really anything, but there is a statue.
Yeah, there's a whole park.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Very cool. We'll have to look up that poem maybe for our next
Yeah,
next
we'll look
year for
into it.
Christmas.
We'll look
You're doing
into
the
it.
poetry. We'd
Yeah.
love to bring that in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next time
Yeah.
we get over to Yankee Stadium, whenever that happens to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, that's right there.
Hey.
Awesome. Great connection.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so moving right along, we're going to get into another segment that we call Christmas Time in Your City. And right there, that chunk,
right.
I just made a new intro for that. So I'll put it in post-production, but it is very poor quality.
Oh, it's beautiful.
you guys are disillusioning me. I thought this was a finely run organization here.
It's going to look so good. I'm going to find someone online to edit it for me. It's going to come out
Okay.
perfect.
No.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. You wanna jump into it?
yeah, you want to do this part?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Go.
So you talked about you being from a small town. We want to hear about how your town celebrates the holidays. Do you have any traditions, parades? It is a small town. I imagine a lot of different things happen there. So do you want to
Yeah.
get into that?
Yeah, definitely. I live in a little town called Walnut, and it's about, I think it's about 1 square mile or maybe 2 square miles. I forget. Population's around 700, and on the downtown section, quote unquote downtown, it's about a block, and there's about 20 antique stores all crammed together in one little section of the town.
That sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. And if we didn't have the antique stores, I think Walnut would just kind of collapse and disappear.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so every Christmas time they have a what they call the Christmas walk or Christmas antique walk. And so it's the Thanksgiving weekend. Most people in town will wait to turn on their decorations all at once. And so it'll be that weekend. And all the stores just get decorated like crazy for Christmas. They have specials that go on, like sales and things. Imagine it's like a Black Friday for antiquers. So,
Right.
and the city council will get different activities together to do, like one. I think they've had strolling carolers, going to the different stores and will carol.
Mhm.
The library usually will host like Santa Claus will be there and Mrs. Claus, and then you can go in and do a craft and get some hot chocolate and all that kind of good stuff. Then there's a few interesting local characters that show up. One guy has like a flock of geese that he walks around town with.
Amazing.
And these geese are dressed up in like little Victorian looking outfits. They have on
No
like
way.
little vests and little hats kind of tied to their heads. And it's the goofiest thing. But the first year we lived here, we were like looking around and we're like, are those geese dressed like Victorian gentlemen? And sure enough, here comes these geese just wandering around town. And then another guy, actually might be the same guy, but he hasn't been around the last couple of years, but he's got puppets like that he'll have walking around. And then he has a skunk, like a pet skunk. I guess he raises skunks and he'll have one of those with him. That's maybe more on the strange side, but
I love it. It feels like a little bit of New York in your town.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Then we have a big Christmas tree right in the middle of the main street. So and because of where we're situated, we're right off the interstate. So we get a lot of semi truck traffic through, go into different towns and farms and things. But they just plop this huge Christmas tree right in the middle of the street. And you just have to learn to drive around it, or if you're in a semi, I don't think the semi drivers like it so much. It's hard to see around it, but
Right.
That Thanksgiving weekend is really just a festive kickoff for the rest of the year, or Christmas year.
Right.
This year they did a new thing, and I think it was probably because of just how difficult 2020 was.
Right.
And a lot of that they weren't able to do. But they started a Christmas decorating contest for your house, and they had different categories. I had no hope of winning that. So, but there's a few houses here in town that are just gorgeous. And I think one of their awards was called the Clark Griswold Award. And the one that we always like, there's one house that just is absolutely beautiful, and that they won that award, and it was pretty neat. And it was a fun way to have some Christmas spirit in the town without being together like we usually like to do. So
Right.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun this year.
That sounds really awesome. I love a Christmas contest, decorating contests. I did those when I was younger. They were always in my community, and it makes you go all out. It just adds a little bit of an edge, to decorating.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes they'll have, they have there's a breakfast with Santa on, I think it's about the Sunday, a week or two before Christmas, at the community center. It's a new community center they put up, and Santa will be there for breakfast, and you can come and have breakfast with him.
That's so cute.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I love it. That sounds really, that sounds like such a good time. I love it.
It's very
Christmas. It's
very laid back. Yeah,
laid back is great. That's what Christmas is about: relaxing, spending time with people, and just enjoying your surroundings. So that sounds wonderful.
I feel like when we lived in more suburban places, we were more appreciative when we came here to see what it was and see how just kind of overwhelming it is, and kind of take it in and to kind of become part of it. And now we come to the point now where we're looking at other places like that, and I'm feeling the same thing about that. I'm just like, man, that sounds really cool. I'd love to.
Yeah. Being able to know your neighbors and being able to join people that down the main street. Here, we can't even go to our local neighborhood thing and know people around us. So that would be really nice.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Art. Thanks for sharing that. I think we just love hearing about other people's Christmases.
We're moving in next door.
Yeah, we'll be there soon.
Well, the house next door is empty, so go for it.
Awesome. Next up. Yeah, this one's a fun one.
Yeah, I think we've come to the point now where we start playing games.
Yeah.
Now it's the fun part. Now these games are incredibly. There should be no stress involved in these games, because these are, for the most part, these are almost impossible to answer properly.
Right.
Okay.
But they're still fun.
Yes. So the first game we have, which I don't have an intro for, which maybe in a couple months I'll figure that, but I think we're leaning towards Neighborhood Watch. So basically with
Okay.
Neighborhood Watches, there's an app that I have on my phone called Citizen. And more or less what it does is it gives you notifications as to if any crimes are happening in the neighborhood. Almost makes you feel like Superman or something. Like you're getting these things like purse snatched somewhere else, but you can set it to have it for the entire city. So you get a lot of notifications, or just your kind of your general area where you usually don't get any notifications at all. And the notifications that I do get in my neighborhood are for the most part like double parked car or something insignificant, where it's not like, it's very, usually not anything crazy. That being said, sometimes I will expand the area and take in other notifications from other places with the sole purpose of hanging on to some of those for this game right here, which we're going to play. So we're going to play, it's more or less the game of 2 truths and a lie. I'm going to read you 3 different notifications. 2 of them were actual notifications I received on my phone, and one of them was a notification that I just made up. So we'll see if we can get through it. Okay.
All right.
So again, these are things that come through the 911 dispatch at some point.
Right.
Oh boy.
Unless it definitely hasn't.
Right.
And for the most, and just between the 3 of us, there's a lot of things I've obviously not put in this game.
Yeah.
Bad things happen when you call 911. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The lighter end of it.
Yeah.
The lighter end. Got it.
The third question's a doozy. You're going to be really disturbed by it. Okay. Anyway. So number 1, we have squirrel going nuts in apartment. Man throwing vegetables at bystanders at JFK airport. And loose iguana on street.
Oh boy. Well, any one of those could be could be ones. I know here in Walnut we had a loose cow on the street once, so that's the iguana might be true. Let's see, what was the second one again?
Man throwing vegetables at bystanders at JFK airport.
Yeah, see, I'd buy that too. Well, I'll go with number 3 is the fake one.
That one is incorrect.
Oh,
That is
okay.
true.
That is a true one, as is the squirrel going nuts in an apartment. The one that I made up was the man throwing vegetables at bystanders in JFK airport.
That's fun, because that's the one I would have sworn was the real one for sure.
Well, there's almost a backstory. You can think of it like maybe he was traveling somewhere but wasn't allowed to bring his vegetables that he purchased here, so he just throwing them out of just anger.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing I thought about. I wanted to make it as believable as possible.
Yeah. Well, good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Well, we're talking about JFK before it. This is a little fun fact. The month, actually, it's not a fun fact. Someone was assassinated, but just over a month after JFK was assassinated, they named the airport after him, which is the fastest I've ever heard of anything being done on that level.
Right.
So,
like changing an airport.
Yeah. Before it was called Idlewild Airport. Idlewild Airport. Yeah.
Neat.
Pretty cool. Anyway, that's just a little thing.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Moving on to number 2.
Let's do the next one. Ready?
Multiple costumed mascots involved in altercation in bookstore.
Uh-huh.
Group practicing yoga in the street, blocking traffic. And finally, wounded beaver attacking jogger.
All right. Well, the first one, I mean, who hasn't done that, right? Okay. Boy, I'm going to say I'm going to say the wounded beaver is the made up one.
And you would be wrong.
Again.
Can you believe it? There's a wounded beaver somewhere. Or there was. He's probably on the mend at this point, but there was a beaver somewhere in New York City who was just causing some mischief.
Yeah, you'd be surprised about the animals we get here. We just got this rare owl in Central Park. I mean, we've got animals.
There's alligators and stuff. Like they get around. I saw. Actually, this is probably gonna. I was gonna use it, but maybe I won't. But there was like an alligator under someone's porch.
Yeah.
It's like
really
that one. If you, there's no way people bet money that it was not an alligator under someone's porch in New York City. It doesn't even make sense.
It does not make sense.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that one is true. And the group practicing yoga in the street is also true.
Yeah.
So it was the mascot.
It's
the mascots. Yeah, they wouldn't
Man.
do that in a bookstore. They would do that in Central. They would do that in Times Square.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
See, that's what
where
I
they
was.
hang out.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're here. They just didn't go into the bookstores.
Yeah, and also
Well,
if you're listening to this, because we are sort of a tourist podcast, don't stop and talk to them because they're going to charge you like $5 for a picture, and their costumes all have headlights on them. So please don't talk to them.
Yeah, yeah. Or if you are, just be ready to tip them because they will get very angry.
They'll get really upset. People have been arrested. Like there's a guy that dresses like Batman. I've seen him get arrested on like Instagram and stuff a bunch of times for just yelling at people for like, you got to pay me. And like,
So anyway.
come to New York. It's awesome.
East South. Yeah, I might need a bodyguard. So
Yeah.
Well,
It's really helpful to have someone here to be able to like guide you through. I think that.
yeah.
that's part of a service that we're going to start offering.
There you
It's a
go.
bodyguard
Okay.
and also tour guide.
Well, yeah. Let's see, Chris, you can be the bodyguard, and
Right.
Chris.
I'm a pretty good bodyguard. I'll do bodyguard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm
okay.
a lover, not a fighter.
There you go. There you
She's
go.
absolutely a fighter.
Okay.
All right, moving
Yeah.
on to the third and final of this round. Here we go.
All right.
People fighting over the price of puppies. Vicious cat threatening customers at restaurant. And finally, restaurant's entire outdoor dining area stolen.
Okay. You know, I need to come to New York now. This is all right. I'm gonna say the first one is the fake one.
So the people fighting over the price of puppies.
Yes.
You are wrong again.
Wrong again. Wow.
That did happen.
That's a real thing. People are fighting over puppies. There's also a vicious cat threatening customers at a restaurant. There's cats all over the place for some reason. There's cats like inside of like convenience stores here for some reason. It's crazy. It's a phenomenon I've never seen anywhere else in the world, but they just let cats like roam around.
And it's absolutely normal here. Like you just, there's no one to say anything to. Like that's just where they
Yeah.
It's like, well, where's it gonna go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Brand accounts for like bodega cats. It's just it's
Man.
real.
So the one that was a lie, I guess, would be the restaurant's entire outdoor dining area stolen. I was driving by one the other day and thought it'd be really funny if that happened, but to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't yet.
See, I could see that happening too. It's
Yeah, because they leave them out overnight. There's like just like tables and like
Yeah.
awnings and stuff. What if someone just came up and just took it and like they had their own restaurant? They just came and just moved it to where the restaurant is. And,
Just transferred it down the street.
yeah.
yeah. I guess I just don't have much faith in our fellow man here. I think they're just all out to be ornery,
Right.
throwing vegetables and stealing patio furniture.
Meanwhile, they're just fighting over animals, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. That was our neighborhood watch section.
Neighborhood watch. I got to come up with a little jingle for that. I'll do it
Absolutely.
later on.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Moving on though.
Do we have an intro to this one?
No, I don't have interest for most of these. It's really disappointing. I'm getting to it.
No,
My
it's okay.
time is a commodity that is not
Yeah.
fluid right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right. Exactly.
Well, next up then, we're going to be talking about the honorary New Yorker quiz. So we're going to quiz you on a few things about New York. Again,
Okay.
these are not, I mean, we wouldn't be able to answer some of these either, but it's a fun thing to do and it's going to give you some facts as we go along. Okay,
All
so
right. Sounds good.
let's see where you are here. Our first question for you is how many bookstores are there in New York City?
Boy, I don't even know how to guess that.
Okay, let me give you a little bit of, so in 1950, there were 386 bookstores.
Okay.
That helps you out.
Yeah.
pre-internet.
Pre-internet. Yeah. Let's just go with an even 1,000.
Even 1,000.
Maybe that's too high. Maybe it's
That
too.
Too high. So today
high.
there actually are less than 80.
Oh, less than 80.
Isn't that
Okay.
sad? It's pretty sad.
That is
Yeah.
really
You would
sad.
think it would go up, you know, but it actually went down because Amazon and all these other ways to get books now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just like smaller mom and pop ones, which hopefully they kind of hold out for longer. But
Yeah, even now ones
tough.
they're struggling, so hopefully they can come back. It'd be nice to
Yeah.
go back. That's one of the fun things to do in the city is kind of going through like even the used book sections of some of these stores are really cool. There's some really fun finds in there. So
Yeah, Strand is a huge one. It's one of the main bookstores of New York City, and it's close to Union Square area, so a lot of tourists also visit this place. And they were struggling, last year, and they basically put out there that, hey, we need help, and all of a sudden they just had so many sales online that they had a really hard time keeping up, and basically saved the place. So you can tell it was like a really big, it has a really big impact here, stores like that. But Strand is definitely one I recommend when it's visiting time here.
Yeah, well, I love a bookstore, but we don't have hardly any near us. I think we have to go to Omaha for the nearest one, or Des Moines. But even then, there's only a couple left, and it's sad.
Right, they're disappearing. So if you have one close to you, you should support your local bookstore for sure.
Definitely.
All right, let's go on to the next one. This is another one that's a little bit absurd, so I'll try to help you with some math here. Ready?
Okay. Oh, great.
How many windows does the Empire State Building have?
More than one.
No, so it'd be pretty dark in there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. How many
Well, for reference, it is 1,250 feet tall.
Okay. 50 feet tall.
1,250 feet tall.
I'm gonna see smoke coming out of my ears now. Let's
It's 102 stories tall as well.
Okay.
So you want to try to figure out maybe like how many would be on each side? I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to be exact. It's just fun to think about.
Let's this is gonna be wrong again.
Okay.
But
if you got it right, it would be pretty insane.
I know, yeah.
I can't imagine someone actually like nailing this one unless you were like the contractor on the building.
There is 782 windows.
782. That's
all
it. Right. Incorrect.
Surprise.
Surprise. But actually,
No surprise.
There's 6,514 windows. So a lot of windows. It's crazy.
Wow. So when I'm wrong, I'm really wrong. That's what we're learning here.
I love it. It's all good. We're just learning some fun facts.
Yeah.
Here's one that might be, there's not as many answers you can give this one. So this one might be a little bit better. All right. So if you order a regular coffee from a street vendor, so they just have like little carts out on the street that serve like coffee, donuts, and treats like that. If you order a regular coffee, how does it come?
I guess, what do you mean by how does it
like
come?
The standard of like what you would put in your coffee?
Oh, okay. Sure. So if you ordered a regular coffee, would they put like creamer and sugar and stuff in it?
Yeah. Ta-da!
All right.
You get it. It's definitely with cream and then probably too much sugar.
Yeah.
They load you up.
They'll do like 3 or 4 spoons of sugar in there.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. So if you don't want it heavy on the cream and sugar, you just tell them like light cream or light sugar.
Okay.
But that's a regular coffee. It's just over sweet and cream.
Yeah. Tan and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see, you got one.
All right. Well, coffee. I live on the stuff, so that's good.
Awesome. So that is the honorary New Yorker quiz, and I think getting a 1 out of 3 is pretty darn good.
It's a pretty good average. I think you earned it.
Yes.
All right.
But before we get to the end of the interview, we have another game that we created that we're going to put to use, and we're going to get to see how your memory withstands with a game that we're calling Did You Forget About It? So here's the thing. We may or may not have sprinkled some information into this podcast that we're now going to ask you to tell us back.
Oh boy.
You can play along too if you're listening to this, and try to see how your memory helps you out there.
If anyone out there is listening and can somehow get me the answers back.
We're gonna find out time travel right now.
That's right.
Someone's gonna be right behind you.
This will be you'll be the only person that really gets to experience this on the full level, because going forward, everyone's gonna know and they're gonna be like, oh, I gotta make sure I listen to this.
That's right. Taking notes. Yeah.
All right. So you ready for the first one?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So let's see. What is the height of the Empire State Building?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I remember it was 102 stories.
It's true.
I remember the wrong one.
I remember the wrong one. 1,250 feet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey.
Very nice. Very nice.
Next question I'll take on. How many bookstores were there in 1950 in New York City?
All right. Yeah, there was like 300 and something, like 350 or so.
We're
I
gonna
think
get
you
you.
said.
That's close enough. It's 386.
Yeah. If
386.
we edited this properly, you would look like you know so much weird stuff about New York City that it would be amazing.
Yeah. That's
Like if that was one of the first questions we asked, like it's got to be like 350 or something.
right.
Yeah,
we're gonna change the order of this and make it sound like
Okay, go for it. I'll slip you a couple of bucks here. And
And the final question: what was JFK Airport's original name?
all right, it was like Idlewild or something. I don't know if I
That's
can
it.
pronounce it.
Idlewild. Yeah.
Did I get it? All right.
If you say it too quick, you're not going to understand it. But
Yeah.
Idlewild.
Yeah.
I'm glad they
Idlewild.
changed it. I'm sorry that they had to change it for the reason they changed it, but
Right.
I think we're
right.
better off with what we got.
Yes. Fantastic. Very good. All right. So your memory is pretty good.
You crushed
All
it.
right.
Definitely
Great.
have in mind.
I was
Great.
worried that you were not you necessarily, but the people that we talked to would get really upset that we were like calling them out on their memory and like just like they're not absorbing of information, which still may be the case, but at least it worked fine for Art.
Yeah. You
Oh,
did
no.
good, so everyone
No,
knows.
it's fun. I like it. I like trivia games. So
Awesome.
yeah,
That was
I-
great.
I'm ready to be that old guy watching Jeopardy every night and going to bed.
Amazing. So we have one
Yeah.
more section left.
Yeah,
All right.
we have one more segment. Excuse me. We have one more segment that we like to call Inside Santa's Studio.
Okay.
So these questions are I'm going to cut this part out. These questions are going to be pretty straightforward, not necessarily the rapid fire, but fairly concise answers. So you don't have to go into too much detail.
It's kind of like inside an actor studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're taking it from that. And
Almost
moving into
almost
it.
exactly taking it from Inside Actor Studio. Anyway,
But it's Christmas.
That's right.
so here we go. Art, what's your favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip cookie.
Good.
Definitely.
What's your least favorite cookie?
Anything with peanut butter in it.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. When do you start decorating for the holidays?
As soon as my wife lets me.
That's the right answer.
Usually Thanksgiving weekend, but yeah.
Awesome.
When do you put your decorations away?
Well, it's going to depend. Around the first of the year, New Year's or so. It depends on the schedule, but yeah, around New Year's.
That makes sense.
What's your favorite festive word?
Scrooge,
Nice.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
What Christmas song do you love?
In the bleak midwinter.
Mhm. Tell me more about that one.
It's more of a carol, and it talks about like the birth of Christ and all that, and how if what could we bring him as a gift, and it talks I'm trying to think of the lines now, but it's like if I were a rich man, I would bring this. But since I'm a poor man, I'll bring this. And but I like the first verse. It just sets a very descriptive scene of of a cold winter when Christ was born and all that. And I've got a version of it played by the pianist Doug Hammer, and you can find him on YouTube or something. It's a gorgeous, very relaxing rendition of that carol, and I just like to listen to it because it's I'm gonna name drop here, but it's cozy.
There you go.
And it's relaxing. It's a beautiful song, and I really like it, and the message it has. So yeah.
Nice. I'm definitely gonna check that one out. That's a new one for me. That's why I wanted to hear more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
What Christmas song do you hate?
Boy, I've got a list.
Oh no.
No. Probably Christmas shoes is the one that gives me the most visceral reaction.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you were an elf in Santa's workshop, what profession would you like to do?
I would be the bookmaker
Oh, nice.
if there was one.
Of course there is.
See, I'm wearing my book nerd shirt right now.
Yeah.
So
I'll see, we were talking about these bookstores. We knew. We knew.
yep, you got it.
Amazing. Love.
I know, I'm
Oh,
looking.
okay. Just making sure.
What elf profession would you not like to do?
The reindeer scooper.
Yeah,
Walk
that's
behind the
probably
sled.
going to be across the board the answer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that one.
And finally, if the North Pole does exist, what would you like to hear Santa say when you arrive at the workshop?
Boy, good question. Here's some eggnog.
Yeah, I like that.
Give me
Absolutely
some-
perfect answer, I think.
I think
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's definitely a perfect answer.
Yeah, give me some eggnog and a book, and there you go. Go sit in a corner.
Love it.
Art, could you do me a favor?
Mhm.
Can you tell everyone listening where we can find you and your podcast?
On the internet somewhere. No, it's cozy Christmas cozychristmaspod.com or cozychristmas.libsyn.com, but both addresses get you to the same place. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and should probably post more than I do, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's okay.
We understand.
Yeah.
And for people that may not be so familiar with it, we have a lot of people that listen from other countries and stuff as well. So what can you tell them about your podcast?
All right. Yeah. My podcast is Cozy Christmas Podcast, and I like to share stories of people's Christmases. I like to I read a story just about every episode, an old classic Christmas story. Some familiar, some not so familiar. I've got a couple coming up this first part of the year that I just found, and I thought they were a lot of fun. So I'll be reading some of those on my podcast. I'll have an interview with somebody who, some kind of Christmas creative person, either an author or a musician, or people who do just create Christmas content, podcasters occasionally. I'll have them on. So just kind of a variety of things. Basically, whatever I find cozy, I talk about. So, but it does tend to be more story based overall. So
Mhm.
that's I like to read. I like books. I like stories. So that's kind of the major part of the podcast. But overall, it's just whatever happens to strike my fancy. So
Very cool. I would say that your podcast is probably one of my favorite Christmas podcasts that are out there right now. I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I do quite enjoy it.
good.
Yeah.
You want me to? Can I record that? You saying that real quick?
If there's any validity to things that I say, you're more than welcome to record it and use it whenever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, your podcast definitely brings the cozy feels.
Good.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah. There's some I don't listen to.
Are
Jerry.
you gonna name him Jerry? No, right.
Jerry.
Will I edit that? I don't know.
He's the worst. I tell you what. No.
He won't listen to this part anyway. Watch. Anyway, thank you, Art, for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it. We had a great talk with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you,
You're
Art.
welcome. You guys have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. How do I stop this?